Stop the press, folks. Biden just dropped a bombshell in the EV world. Forget everything you thought you knew about EVs because the game just changed. In the world of cars, there's a big change happening, and it's all about electric vehicles. President Biden had this ambitious plan to get most cars running on electricity by 2032, which seemed like a cool idea at first. But as they started working on it, they hit some big roadblocks. See, most of the big car companies, especially the ones in Detroit like GM and Ford, mostly make cars that run on gasoline. Switching these big machines to run on electricity turned out to be way harder than anyone thought. These companies make a lot of trucks, and making them electric is a big challenge because they need a lot of power. Then there's the problem of getting enough materials to make all the batteries for these electric cars, but there might not be enough of them to go around. And if there's not enough, the price of electric cars could go way up, which would be a bummer for everyone who wants to buy one. To make things even trickier, GM and Ford are losing a bunch of money because they're not selling enough electric cars. They thought people would be all over them, but it turns out not so much. There's even a report going around that says electric cars might never be as good as regular cars in some ways. That's got a lot of folks scratching their heads and wondering if going electric is really the right move. Even the workers who make these cars are worried about their jobs. Making electric cars doesn't need as many people as making regular cars does. So if everyone switches to electricity, there might not be enough work for everyone. That's got the workers' union, called the United Auto Workers Union, feeling pretty anxious about the future. But there's one guy who's still all in on electric cars, Elon Musk, the guy behind Tesla. His company's been leading the charge on electric cars for a while now. Despite all the problems, Musk is still pushing electrification. Sensing the pressure from all sides, the Biden administration seems to be taking its foot off the gas pedal when it comes to pushing for EVs. So what's the new plan? Well, it looks like they're giving automakers more time to ramp up their EV sales, pushing back the big jump until after 2030. But why the sudden change of heart? It's a bit like making a stew with lots of different ingredients. First off, President Biden's trying to balance fighting climate change while keeping the auto industry and labour unions on his side. And of course, he's got his eye on re-election, needing all the support he can get. Then there's the issue of consumer demand. Turns out not everyone's jumping on the EV bandwagon as quickly as hoped. People are balking at the high prices, and finding a charging station can feel like looking for a needle in a haystack. Some folks are even ditching their brand new EVs for gas cars instead. Ford and GM have so many EVs sitting in dealer lots that Ford had to halt production of their flagship EV pickup, the F-150 Lightning, due to low demand. Even GM had to scrap a $40 billion deal with Honda to make cheaper EVs. Their CEO, Mary Barra, admitted that they're delaying production and won't be making cheaper EVs anytime soon, causing quite a stir. But one brand that's still soaring is Tesla. As an electricity-only company, they're seeing good EV sales numbers. However, last month China's actions cost Tesla a staggering $80 billion. But back to the overall car market. Right now, companies are slowly shifting back to gas cars. And with better technology, you'll see gas cars with improved mileage and lower prices than ever before. Now, people who've already bought EVs are feeling pretty nervous because all this negative talk's making their cars lose value super fast. Tesla even said their Model X could lose a whopping $21,000 in value in just 1 year. But how did folks in the car industry convince Biden to ease up on pushing EVs? Well, first let's talk about the dealers. Around 4,000 of them got together and sent a strong message to Biden. But Biden didn't seem too bothered by this. So what did the dealers do? They simply stopped selling EVs altogether. And that's when things started to go downhill for the car market. Around half of Ford's dealers decided that they weren't interested in selling EVs anymore. They said no thanks to the fancy training and equipment Ford was offering. Ford tried to play it cool, saying most people will still be near a dealer selling EVs, but let's be real, it's not a great look for them. Just last year, around 65% of Ford's dealers were all gung-ho about selling EVs, but now we're down to just 1,500 dealers in the game. That's a big drop. Ford trying to act like everything's fine and dandy, but you've got to wonder if they're sweating a little. It's not every day that half of your dealers decide to sit out on the next big thing. But wait, there's more drama. It's not just Ford that's caught up in this. A report from the Sierra Club threw some serious shade, revealing that 2/3 of US car dealers don't even have EVs to sell. And get this, 45% of them wouldn't sell EVs even if they could. Buick's dealer network got slashed in half because a bunch of them didn't want anything to do with EVs. Now let's talk about the deal with dealers needing to shell out big bucks for EV chargers and training. Some of them aren't feeling too keen on making the investment, especially when EVs aren't exactly flying off the lot. But here's the kicker. Some states won't even let manufacturers sell EVs directly to customers like us. So if the dealers don't want to sell EVs and the car makers can't sell them directly, what's a car buyer to do? Even Tesla's sales are taking a hit because Elon Musk thinks the Chinese company BYD is a tough competitor. His comment alone caused investors to lose a ton of confidence, tanking their shares by $80 billion in just a week. In their biggest market, China, Tesla is constantly getting overshadowed by BYD. They've even had to drop the prices 3 times in a month just to stay in the game. The US government tried to sweeten the deal with a $7,500 tax credit. First, let's talk about fires. While EV fires are less common than those in gas cars, when they happen, they're quite the spectacle. These lithium-ion batteries powering these rides are like packed lunch boxes of energy. And if they're damaged or faulty, they can go from zero to inferno real quick. These fires could be tough to put out too, needing tons of water and a lot of time, making them a real headache for firefighters and owners alike. While some may argue that gas cars catch fire too, EV fires are much worse, taking nearly 27 times more water just to extinguish them. Then there's the issue of software bugs. These cars are basically supercomputers on wheels, relying heavily on software for everything from driving assist to controlling the temperature. And some automakers seem to be skipping their homework. Owners have reported screens freezing, features playing hide and seek, and even cars refusing to move. Poor quality parts are the cherry on top of this not so sweet cake. From flimsy trim that waves goodbye at the first bump, to door handles that decide they're not too into opening doors anymore. It's a mixed bag of surprises, and let's not forget the charging issues, where EV owners sometimes find themselves playing musical chairs with charging stations that just won't cooperate. So the administration's plan to ease into the EV future is like a plot twist that nobody saw coming. Biden finally gave in to pressure, and the common man's cries have finally been heard. Despite all the drama, the folks in charge are still optimistic. They believe that with a bit more time, new tech and better infrastructure, the public might warm up to EVs, and who knows, giving the auto industry a bit more leeway might just be the strategy that keeps the EV dream alive. Especially with Trump lurking in the background, ready to hit the reverse button on climate policies. The EV hype is finally over, and the market just snapped back to reality. It's high time that the government and car makers start listening to what people want, or else the result will only be huge market crashes and companies shutting their doors. What do you think? Have we been lied to about EVs? Yes or no?